You've been lied to your entire life about how motivation works. Not by bad people, but by every productivity guru you ever trusted. And honestly, the worst part is that you believed it because it made perfect sense. You thought motivation was something you either had or you didn't. You thought some people just woke up driven, fired up, and ready to go. And you thought if you weren't feeling that way, something was wrong with you. But here's what nobody told you. Motivation doesn't actually come first. Your brain is not designed the way you think it is. The whole model you've been using to get things done is built backwards. And that one mistake is quietly running and ruining your life. Think about every time you said, "I'll start when I feel ready." Think about every goal you abandoned because the excitement wore off. You don't even realize this, but your brain was working against you the whole time. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly how and why. What you're about to hear isn't motivational advice, it's neuroscience. This is the actual mechanics of how human action gets started. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It will change the way you understand your own mind forever. If you want to keep learning how your psychology really works, subscribe to ThoughtCraft right now. Because the people who understand this stuff make different decisions than everyone else, and those decisions change everything. So let's go back to the lie. The lie is that motivation leads to action. It sounds true because it feels true in the moment. You get inspired by something and suddenly you want to move. But that feeling is not reliable, and your brain knows it. Research in behavioral neuroscience shows something completely different. Action actually comes first, and motivation follows after, not the other way around. Read that again, because most people miss this completely. You don't wait to feel motivated, you act and then you feel it. There's a concept called the action-motivation loop. It works like this. You do a small thing, your brain gets a tiny reward signal. That reward makes you slightly more willing to do the next thing. And slowly, without even noticing, you're in motion. The feeling of motivation is actually a byproduct of starting, not a requirement for it. Your brain cannot generate drive out of thin air. It needs evidence, real physical evidence that something is happening. And the only way to give it that evidence is to move your body.
This is where it gets really interesting. There's a part of your brain called the basal ganglia. It's responsible for habit formation and automatic behavior. And here's what's wild. It does not respond to intentions. It doesn't care about your goals or your vision board or your journal. It only responds to repeated behavior. So when you sit there waiting to feel motivated, your basal ganglia is completely silent. But the second you start doing the thing, even badly, even unwillingly, it activates. It starts learning. It starts building momentum. That is the actual engine of human motivation. Think about the last time you forced yourself to go to the gym. You didn't want to go. You almost didn't. But 10 minutes in, something shifted and you were glad you went. That shift, that's not discipline. That's not willpower. That's your basal ganglia finally getting the signal it was waiting for. The entry was the key, not the feeling. The action unlocked the motivation, not the other way around. Most people are waiting at the door hoping someone will hand them the key, but the key is already in your hand. You just have to turn it. And that means the entire self-help conversation about finding your why is incomplete. Your why doesn't matter if your behavior doesn't start. A beautiful purpose statement won't move your body off the couch. Only you moving your body will do that. But here's the part most people don't notice. There's a reason starting feels so hard, and it's deeply psychological. Your brain has a threat detection system called the amygdala. Its whole job is to protect you from risk, discomfort, and failure. And starting something new triggers that system every single time. Your brain interprets the act of beginning as potentially dangerous because starting means you might fail, and failure means rejection, and rejection evolutionarily meant death. So your brain fights the start with everything it has. It offers you Netflix, it reminds you of snacks, it gives you a headache. Every distraction you feel right before starting something important is your amygdala running defense. And most people spend their whole lives losing that battle. The solution is not to feel braver, it's to trick the system. Researchers call this temptation bundling and implementation intentions, but honestly, it comes down to something simpler than that. You make the starting so small that your brain doesn't register it as a threat. You don't decide to write a book. You decide to open the document. You don't decide to work out. You decide to put on your shoes. You lower the bar so far that your amygdala doesn't even notice, and then momentum does the rest.
This is where it gets really interesting. There's a psychological concept called identity-based behavior, and it's the deepest level of what we're talking about tonight. Most people try to change their behavior from the outside in. They set goals, they build systems, they buy planners. But behavior that's driven by goals is fragile because goals have an endpoint, and once you hit them or miss them, the behavior collapses. Identity is different. Identity is infinite. When you believe you are a certain type of person, you act like that person automatically. You don't wait to feel motivated, because motivated people don't wait to feel motivated. So the real question isn't, how do I get motivated? The real question is, who am I becoming with every decision I make? Every time you start when you don't feel like doing it, you're casting a vote. That vote says, I am someone who does the thing. And over time, your brain collects those votes and updates your identity. It starts to believe the story you're writing with your actions. And once that identity is locked in, motivation becomes irrelevant. You act because of who you are, not because of how you feel. And this is the thing nobody talks about. Motivation is for beginners. Identity is for people who last. The most consistent people you know aren't running on inspiration. They're running on a self-concept so strong that stopping feels weird. They've crossed a line where the behavior has become part of who they are. And that line isn't crossed with a big dramatic decision. It's crossed one quiet, uncomfortable, uninspired start at a time. So the next time you sit there waiting to feel ready, remember this. Motivation is not a bus that picks you up. It's a bus you chase down. You run after it. You do the thing first, and it shows up to give you the ride. Your brain is not broken. You're not lazy. You're not different from other people. You were just taught the wrong order of operations, and now you know the right one. The start is the thing. The feeling comes after, every single time. If this shifted something in you, even slightly, share it with someone who needs it. And if you want to understand your mind at this level every single week, subscribe to ThoughtCraft right now, because we don't do surface level here. We go deep into the psychology that actually moves people. Drop a comment below. What's the one thing you've been waiting to feel motivated to start? Let's talk about it, because you're not alone in this, and you never were.